Okay, Algebra 1. Another type of factoring for day 5. We're going to skip day 4 in the notes. You don't need to do that till next year. Day 5 is the difference of two squares. The last type of factoring we did was GCF, and then we did some unfoiling. Alright, today a little bit different. Difference of two squares. Some things we're looking for. First of all, has to be the difference. Alright, squares are like perfect squares. I'll make a list of those in a second. If you're doing the notes, you have the packet. All right, some things to look for. Has to be a binomial today. All right, last time GCF, you always look for a GCF. You unfoil if it's trinomial. Today we're looking for a binomial. That could be the difference of two squares. All right, it has to be the difference, like we said, it has to be subtraction. And we also need to have two perfect squares. Let's make a list of perfect squares real quick. Perfect squares are like 1 times 1 is 1, right? 1 is a perfect square. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 is a perfect square because it's a number times itself. All right, 3 times 3 is 9. You can make this list as long as you need to. 4 times 4, 5 times 5. Get the idea. All right, usually don't need to go too far, but if you know those top of your head, that's great. Always write them down so you can think about which ones you have, which ones you don't. The next step of the notes is just yes or no, right? Are these a difference of two squares? So it has to be a binomial, has to be subtraction, has to be perfect squares. Number 1, x squared minus 49. 49 is a perfect square, it's on our list. X squared is actually a perfect square also, it's x times x. So not just the numbers, but also the variables. All right, so this is just a yes for number 1. If you skip to number 3, x squared minus 10, it's a binomial, there's two terms. There is subtraction, but 10 is not a perfect square, right? It's not on our list of perfect squares, so that's a no. Number 5, 25x squared minus 36. It is a binomial, all right, two terms, subtraction. 25 is a perfect square. It's 5 times 5, right? 36 is a perfect square. X squared is also a perfect square, so everything works. That's just a yes. All right, to factor these out, all right, it's almost like the unfoiling. We're gonna write two sets of parentheses, all right? We're gonna have two binomials, like we did last time. The signs will be different, opposite. All right, one will be plus, one will be minus. The terms, though, they're going to be the same. All right, you see that. Let's do number 1. If I have x squared minus 16, all right, if you think about your checklist, it has everything. It's a binomial, it has subtraction, it has perfect squares, right? 16 is 4 times 4. So I know this is going to factor. All right, you're going to hear it referred to as a dots. It's a difference of two squares. Abbreviation for dots, all right? So same idea as our thinking last week. It has to be something times itself to get x squared. So x times x. Two numbers that get you 16. All right, it's got to be 4 times 4 because those have to be the same. One's plus, one's minus. All right, if you actually think about it, it's no different than what we did last time. You could rewrite this as x squared plus 0x minus 16. This and this, same thing, right? 0x, you don't have to write that in there, but you can. So you still need two numbers that multiply to be 16 that subtract to give you 0. So same idea. All right, this is your answer though. You factored that out. Let's try a couple more on the back. If you have the notes, if not, hopefully you're trying them on your own sheet of paper. There are some of these on Delta Math, so give them a shot. Number 3, x squared minus 1. All right, two terms, subtraction. One's actually a perfect square, so this is a dots. All right, usually it's a good habit to get into. Every time you see it, write down it's a dots. Helps you remind yourself to think what you need to. This one factors. X squared minus 1. I know x times x is x squared. 1 times 1 is 1. One of those signs is plus, one is minus. If you were to FOIL this out, all right, if you were to FOIL it out and bring it up here, remember first times the first is x squared. Outside terms is negative 1x. Inside terms is positive 1x. Last terms is 1 times negative 1, which is just minus 1. These terms on the dots will always cancel out. That's why we don't need to worry about them, all right? X squared minus 1. Same thing that you had, just looks a little bit different, all right? You try the evens. Number 5 is this a dots? 100, 144, those are bigger numbers, all right? You take the square root of both if you need to in a calculator. Those are both perfect squares, all right? 10 squared, 12 squared. So this does factor. A little bit more to it though. What times itself gives you 100x squared? Well, it's got to be 10x and 10x. What times itself gives you 144? That's 12. So I can put a 12 here and here. Remember, one's plus, one's minus. Number 7. Same idea as number 5, all right? A little bit more to it. You got a y squared at the end. But you have subtraction, it's 2 terms. These are both perfect squares, 64 and 81 both. So you know it's gonna factor, it is a dots. 8 times 8 is 64, so I'm gonna need 8x and 8x. Because if I FOIL those, I get 64x squared. All right, to get 81y squared, well, that's gotta be 9y times 9y. All right, if I put 1 plus, 1 minus, all right, if you distribute all that out, FOIL it out, those middle terms will cancel because one's plus, one's minus. Number 9, similar, a little bit backwards though it looks. 100 minus 81x to the 6th. Some people mess around rewriting it. I would just leave it alone. All right, 100 is perfect square, 81 is perfect square. It is a dots, it's gonna factor. 10 times 10 is 100. We said 9 times 9 is 81. This one's x to the 6th though. So don't forget your basics. X times x is x squared. X squared times x squared is x to the 4th, so I need x to the 3rd times x to the 3rd to give me x to the 6th. All right, again, one's plus, one's minus. Number 11, they're trying to trick you a little bit. There's no numbers, it's just c squared minus d squared. Is that a dots? Well, it's something squared minus something squared, so yes, it is, all right? Same idea, it's just no letters this time. C times c is c squared. D times d is d squared. 1 plus, 1 minus, that way our middle terms cancel out. That's it. All right, once you get used to it, not too bad. Try the rest of day 5, see how you do.